Beloved, pause for a moment and let this question sink in. What if today is the day heaven has been waiting on to shift your life forever? What if the struggles that tried to bury you were really preparing you for an overflowing harvest you cannot yet see? This is not just another day on the calendar. It is a sacred appointment written in eternity with your name etched into it. The angels have been whispering your name. Your prayers have been rising like incense before the throne, and now the response is closer than you think. I need you to hear me. This moment is not random, it is divine. Have you ever felt like you've been fighting silently, carrying hidden weight, wondering if God even noticed? Have you questioned whether your Christian mental health, your hope, your joy could ever be restored? This message is your answer. It is your reminder that heaven has not overlooked you, that you are surrounded by protection, and that abundance is already on its way. This is your moment of spiritual awakening, a moment where faith rises and chains break. Stay with me, because what you will receive in the next few minutes could become the turning point of your life. I want to deeply thank you for being here, for choosing to connect with words that lift your spirit. Subscribe now to Spiritual Journals, turn on your notifications, and help us spread God's word across the nations. Together, we are carriers of light, and today, heaven is speaking directly to you.
The day heaven chose. Beloved, lean in for a moment, because this day carries weight you may not fully realize yet. Heaven has declared that today is no ordinary day. It is extraordinary, filled with fragrance and holy purpose. Your name is written in the book of miracles, and the very air around you is shifting with divine potential. What if every hardship, every tear, every delay was never meant to break you, but to prepare you for this exact moment? What if heaven circled this day in eternity, long before you took your first breath? I feel it deep in my spirit. The best part of your story hasn't even started yet, and today is the page where everything begins to turn. I remember a season in my own life when silence seemed endless, when prayers felt like they evaporated before reaching heaven. I would sit in the quiet and ask, "Lord, do you still see me?" And one night in the stillness, I felt a whisper so gentle it shook me. "Your name is written here." That moment became the seed of my faith-based transformation. It was not dramatic fireworks. It was not instant answers. It was a divine assurance that every hidden prayer, every weary sigh, had already been carried before God. Maybe you know that feeling, that ache of waiting, the heaviness of wondering if heaven forgot your name. Let me remind you, chosen one, you were never forgotten. Today is living proof. And here is the wonder. Heaven is not just giving you crumbs. God is preparing a feast. You are stepping into a season of overflowing blessings, where dreams you thought had expired will suddenly breathe again. Scripture says in Ephesians 3:20 that He is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to His power that is at work within us. That means your miracle will not just meet your needs, it will exceed them. It will spill over into your children, your home, your future. I feel the Spirit saying, you are not about to survive on scraps. You are about to taste abundance that redefines what you thought was possible. If your spirit is stirring right now, write in the comments, "My harvest is here." But let me pause, because there's a danger that tries to steal these sacred moments. Worry, fear, and hidden burdens creep in, whispering that it's too late, that you're not ready, that nothing ever changes. Friend, do not let anxiety overshadow the miracle heaven is placing in your hands. You've carried silent struggles that no one saw, but heaven saw them all. Every sleepless night, every unspoken fear, God recorded them in His book, and He is answering with compassion today. When Jesus said in Matthew 11:28, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest," he was speaking to you. This day, this rest, this renewal belongs to you. Here is where the shift happens. Faith-based transformation is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about surrendering the weight and letting God reshape you. Transformation begins when you trade your worry for worship, your fear for faith, your doubt for divine trust. Try this simple act tonight. Before you sleep, write down every fear that is weighing you down. Then tear that paper in half as a prophetic act, declaring, "This no longer owns me. God carries this now." Sometimes faith needs a physical action to remind us of a spiritual truth. And there's more. This isn't just about a single miracle. It's about daily connection with the one who gives life. Faith grows in the small, consistent moments, reading a verse in the morning, whispering a prayer while doing the dishes, lifting your hands for 30 seconds before bed. These tiny seeds create a rhythm of intimacy. That's where the joy comes from. Not achievements, not applause, but the steady heartbeat of walking with God every day. In John 15:5, Jesus said, "I am the vine, you are the branches." Stay connected to Him, and your life will bear fruit in ways you never dreamed. Friend, today, heaven is not just promising blessing, but protection. Angels are not just whispering your name, they are guarding your steps. Psalm 91 reminds us that those who dwell in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. You are covered, even when you don't feel it. You are shielded, even when you cannot see it. That means you can walk boldly into your journey, embracing your potential with confidence. The God who started a good work in you is faithful to complete it. So let me speak this over you as we close. This is your sacred day. Heaven has written it, your spirit confirms it, and your future is waiting for it. Don't let fear silence your faith. Don't let doubt rob your destiny. Declare it out loud, even now. This is my day of transformation. Like this video if you're ready to step into divine abundance. Share it if you know someone who needs to hear that their prayers are still alive. Subscribe to Spiritual Journals so we can walk this journey together, carrying light into a world desperate for hope. I bless you now with peace that surpasses understanding, joy that runs deeper than sorrow, and faith that transforms every shadow into testimony. May your name echo in the courts of heaven. May your tears turn into triumph. And may today, the day heaven chose, be remembered as the day everything changed.
Blessings overflowing. Beloved, I feel this so strongly in my spirit. God is not handing out crumbs today. He is releasing waves of blessing that are designed to overwhelm you in the best way. The long-held desires of your heart, the whispered questions that escaped your lips in the midnight hour, the sighs too deep for words, all of them have been heard, and the response from heaven is already on the way. This is not about trickles of mercy, it's about rivers of abundance. Can you believe that the harvest was planted long before you even sowed the seed? That means what is rising now is not just provision, it's transformation, the kind that rewrites your story from the inside out. And this is where the growth mindset comes in. Too often we limit God by shrinking our expectations, thinking small because of what we've been through. But God is whispering, lift your eyes higher, dream bigger, expect more. Scripture says in Isaiah 54, enlarge the place of your tent, stretch your tent curtains wide, do not hold back. That's a growth mindset in action, a faith that refuses to stay confined by past disappointments. I remember a season when my prayers seemed to bounce off the ceiling. I almost convinced myself to stop asking. But then I read the story of Hannah, who poured out her soul before the Lord even when everyone thought she was foolish. She refused to shrink her faith, and God gave her Samuel, a child destined to shift history.
Her story still shouts to us today, don't give up, don't downsize your hope, expand your belief, because heaven is already aligning answers you cannot see. Here's something fresh to try. Instead of only writing prayer requests, start keeping a growth mindset harvest journal. Write down even the smallest signs of God's goodness, the unexpected phone call, the moment of peace in a storm, the way a problem seemed lighter after prayer. That's your living proof that heaven is moving. It trains your spirit to see abundance even in seed form. This activity doesn't just mark what God has done, it builds your growth mindset by reminding you that if He did it before, He can do it again and greater. But let me be real with you, friend. Overflow often comes with resistance. The enemy loves to whisper that you're unworthy, that it's too late, that blessings are for everyone else but you. That's when you must confront the lie with truth. Remember Joseph, thrown into a pit by his own brothers, forgotten in prison, yet positioned in a palace. He could have allowed bitterness to shrink his mindset, but instead he held on to the dream God gave him. And in Genesis 50:20, he declared, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." That's a growth mindset born in the fire of trials. The very place of betrayal became the stage for God's abundance. Beloved, don't despise the process. Don't curse the waiting. Growth mindset means you see every season as a seedbed. Even silence has purpose. Even setbacks are setups. Your unanswered prayers were not ignored. They were incubating. Your delays were not denials. They were divine timing. And today, heaven is saying, the wait was worth it. If this stirs something inside you, declare it in the comments. My overflow is already in motion. That declaration is not just words, it's a spiritual agreement, a prophetic act that aligns your heart with what God is releasing. And here's another high point. Abundance is not just about material blessings. It's about peace that silences storms, joy that strengthens weary bones, and love that heals wounds no one else could reach. Think about the disciples in John 6 when Jesus fed the 5,000. They started with lack, just a few loaves and fish, but by the end there were 12 baskets overflowing. The miracle wasn't just in feeding the crowd, it was in showing that God's nature is always more than enough. When you live with a growth mindset, you stop measuring your life by scarcity and start expecting divine overflow in every area. Relationships, purpose, even inner healing. So what do you do while you wait for the flood of blessings to arrive? Start living as if it's already yours. Wake up tomorrow and thank God for provision, even before you see it. Speak life over your home. Choose one area of fear and replace it with faith. Maybe you've been afraid of failing again. Instead say, God is with me and His grace never fails. That simple act shifts your atmosphere and positions you to receive more. Beloved, hear me. This is your moment. The season of survival is ending, and the season of overflow is here. God is not just giving you enough to scrape by. He is positioning you to carry enough to bless others. That's why it's called overflow. It spills out of your life and waters those around you. You will become the answer to someone else's prayer, the evidence of God's goodness walking in human form. If you believe this, like this message as a sign of your agreement. Share it with someone who needs to know that heaven has not forgotten them. And subscribe to Spiritual Journals so we can keep walking this journey together, stirring faith until it overflows. I bless you now with courage to believe bigger, strength to hold on longer, and joy that cannot be stolen. May your heart expand to receive all that heaven has prepared. May your home become a storehouse of peace, your spirit a fountain of hope, and your life a testimony of blessings overflowing. Walk boldly, beloved, because this is the day heaven chose to release your harvest. And when it comes, it will not be small. It will be more than enough.
Confronting the hidden weight. Beloved, let's pause together, because sometimes the loudest battles are not the storms outside, but the storms inside. Too often we allow worry, fear, and hidden burdens to suffocate the miracle before it even has a chance to breathe. God is whispering in this very moment, do not let fear overshadow what I am releasing today. Your silent struggles, the heaviness you hide behind a smile, the nights you've cried alone, heaven saw every tear. Heaven knows every ache, and heaven is reminding you now, you are not forgotten. What you confront in faith today can unlock what has been delayed for years. I remember a time in my own life when I carried a hidden weight so heavy I thought it would break me. I showed up in public smiling, but inside I was crumbling. And yet in one of those nights when I was too weary to pray anything eloquent, I whispered, God, help me. That night I woke with a sense of peace I couldn't explain. Nothing around me had changed, but something inside me had shifted. That was the beginning of freedom. Sometimes the miracle starts when we dare to be honest with God, when we dare to bring Him the raw, unpolished weight we've been dragging for too long. The Bible gives us glimpses of people who knew this same struggle. David, the giant slayer, also wrote psalms filled with tears. He confessed, "My tears have been my food day and night." He knew the heaviness of carrying emotions too deep for words. And yet he confronted them in the presence of God, turning his pain into prayer, his sorrow into song. That's where transformation begins. That's where you start to realize that the heaviness is not permanent, it is a place where heaven can pour in. Here's something fresh you can try tonight. Take a notebook and write down the one weight you've been hiding, the thing you never voice out loud. Then, under it, write one promise of God that speaks directly against that weight. It could be, I will never leave you nor forsake you, or cast all your cares on Him, for He cares for you. When you look at that page, you'll see it's not just your fear, it's also God's promise. That simple act becomes a motivational speech written by your own hand, a sermon you preach to yourself when the silence feels too loud. But here's where the high point rises. When you release what's hidden, you make space for what's holy. The enemy thrives in secrecy, but God heals in exposure. Think about the woman with the issue of blood. She had carried her weight for 12 years, hidden in shame. Yet the moment she reached for Jesus, the moment she chose faith over fear, healing surged through her body. That touch was more than physical. It was the release of years of silence. Her story tells us that what you release in faith today can transform generations tomorrow.
And let me use a metonymy here to break the flow. Sometimes the battlefield is not the valley, it's the pillow. It's the space where you lay your head at night and your thoughts wage war against your peace. That's where worry whispers, where regrets replay. But even there, the Spirit hovers. Even there, God speaks. Don't underestimate the power of simply saying before you close your eyes, Lord, I place this weight in your hands. That act is more than a prayer. It's warfare. Beloved, let me motivate you with this. You are not defined by the battles you fought in secret. You are defined by the God who never left you in them. What once felt like chains can become testimonies. What once crushed you can become the very platform where you stand to encourage others. If this is stirring something deep in you, write in the comments, I release my hidden weight. That declaration is more than engagement, it's alignment. It's your spirit telling heaven, I am ready for my breakthrough. And here's another layer. Confronting your hidden weight is not weakness, it is strength disguised as surrender. When Paul said in 2 Corinthians, for when I am weak, then I am strong, he was telling us that the place of transparency is where God's power shows up. Maybe today your hidden burden is grief. Maybe it's shame. Maybe it's doubt. Whatever it is, heaven has already prepared the answer. All you need to do is step out of silence and into surrender. Friend, this is not just encouragement, it's a prophetic word for you. Do not end this day with the same weight you started it with. Confront it, name it, release it, and watch what God does with the space you clear. Like this video if you believe that freedom is possible for you today. Share it with someone else who needs to hear that their hidden pain is not invisible to heaven. Subscribe to Spiritual Journals so we can keep walking together, carrying light into every corner of our stories. I bless you with peace that silences every restless thought, joy that breaks through sorrow, and strength to lay down what no longer serves you. May your pillow become an altar, your tears become testimonies, and your hidden battles become visible victories. You are seen, you are loved, you are free. Daily connection with the divine. Beloved, this is why yesterday's prayers are not enough to carry you through today. God is inviting you into something deeper, something daily, something alive. The joy you've been searching for does not come from achievements, promotions, or applause. It flows from relationship. It flows from the whispered moments when you open your heart in trust, when you surrender your timeline to the God who already knows the end from the beginning. Faith is not a one-time declaration. It is the rhythm of breathing in His presence every single day. And when you choose to live this way, even the storms that once terrified you begin to serve your destiny. This is where mindfulness becomes a holy practice, not the mindfulness the world preaches, but the kind that fixes your heart on Christ. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." That's divine mindfulness. It is the stillness that recognizes His sovereignty, the awareness that no matter how loud life becomes, there's a deeper voice that never stops speaking peace. What if your breakthrough isn't in doing more, but in being more present with Him? What if God is saying, stop striving and start noticing? The moment you pause to see Him in the sunrise, in the laughter of a child, in the breath you're taking right now, you realize heaven has been closer than you ever imagined. I remember a season in my life when the noise of worry nearly drowned me. I was juggling responsibilities, carrying silent burdens, and I found myself running on empty. I prayed occasionally, but my soul felt restless. Then one morning I sat in silence, not asking God for anything, but simply saying, "I'm here." In that stillness, I felt His presence wash over me like living water. Nothing in my circumstances had changed, but something inside of me shifted. That moment was the beginning of unshakable strength. Sometimes what you need most is not a solution, but an encounter. Mindfulness in God's presence does not mean escaping reality. It means seeing reality through His eyes. Colossians 3:2 urges us, "Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things." That is the call to holy awareness, to recognize that while problems may be pressing in, heaven's promises are pressing harder. You may wake up with anxiety, but you can choose to set your mind on His faithfulness. You may go to bed with questions, but you can rest knowing His mercies are new every morning. Here's a fresh activity you can try. When you wake up tomorrow, before you even reach for your phone, take 1 minute to breathe deeply and whisper the words of Psalm 23:1. "The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing." Let that scripture frame your day. This is not about ritual, it's about realignment. It's about reminding your soul that you are guided, protected, and provided for. That 1 minute of mindful surrender can anchor your heart more than an hour of worry ever could. And this daily connection builds resilience. Isaiah 40:31 says, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles." Notice it doesn't say those who hoped once. It says those who hope continuously. Hope is sustained in daily doses. When you keep turning your attention back to Him, when you practice spiritual mindfulness by noticing His hand in the ordinary, strength rises in you like a river. You begin to soar not because the wind stopped, but because you learned to ride it. Beloved, storms will come, but when your heart is rooted in daily mindfulness of God's presence, those storms cannot uproot you. In fact, they push you closer to Him. Think of Peter on the water. The moment he fixed his eyes on Jesus, he walked on what should have drowned him. That's the power of mindful focus. Where your attention goes, your faith follows. If you focus on fear, you sink. If you focus on Jesus, you rise. So let me charge you with this truth. Your daily connection with God is not optional, it is oxygen. Just as your lungs need air, your soul needs His presence. Don't starve yourself on yesterday's prayers when heaven has fresh bread for you today. In Exodus 16, manna fell daily, not weekly. That was God's way of teaching Israel to depend on Him one day at a time. He's doing the same with you. He's saying, don't hoard the past, come to me today. I have fresh grace, fresh peace, fresh strength waiting. And here's your invitation, beloved. Don't end this day without taking one mindful moment to sit with Him. Turn off the noise, close your eyes, and whisper, I am here, Lord. That simple act will shift your atmosphere. Like this video if you believe God is renewing your strength right now. Share it with someone who needs a reminder that peace is not lost, it's found in His presence. And write in the comments, I choose daily connection. That declaration will mark you for blessing, because when you choose Him daily, He responds with daily mercy. I bless you now with peace that silences the storm, clarity that cuts through confusion, and joy that floods your soul. May your days be marked not by chaos, but by holy mindfulness, where every breath reminds you that you are held by God. May your quiet moments become the loudest testimonies, and may your daily connection lead you into a life so anchored in His presence that nothing can shake you.
Walking in abundance and protection. Beloved, hear me closely. The promise of God is never just about blessing. It is also about protection. You are not walking uncovered. Heaven surrounds you like a shield. The same God who provides is the same God who defends. You are being invited not just to survive another season, but to embrace your true potential. To walk confidently with the knowledge that angels are not just whispering your name in heaven's chambers, they are carrying your breakthrough into your very life. What once felt like survival is now turning into dominion. Abundance is not simply what you hold in your hands, it is who you are becoming in God's hands. This is your moment to step forward, but the invitation that comes next will determine how you leave this day. For some of you, this is more than encouragement, it is a spiritual awakening. You have lived too long thinking blessing was only about material gain, when the truth is, abundance flows from identity. When the prodigal son returned home in Luke 15, the father didn't simply give him food to fill his stomach. He clothed him with a robe, placed a ring on his hand, and restored his identity as a son. That was abundance that no famine could touch. And that is what heaven is speaking over you today. Your identity is being restored, your name is being reaffirmed, and your steps are being realigned with destiny. I remember a season in my own journey when I thought abundance meant just enough to pay bills or just enough strength to get through the week. I prayed for scraps when heaven was preparing a feast. One day while reading Psalm 23, my heart caught on the words, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." I realized abundance is not a trickle, it's a table. It is not about barely surviving, it is about sitting in peace while heaven feeds your soul, even in the face of opposition. That realization was a spiritual awakening in my own life, shifting me from begging God for daily survival to believing God for divine overflow. Abundance and protection are not abstract ideas, they are a way of living. Isaiah 54:17 declares, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." That doesn't mean weapons will never form, but it means they will never succeed. Some of you have been through battles you thought would take you out, but here you are. You are living proof that protection is not about the absence of warfare, but about the victory secured in the middle of it. This is why you can walk boldly into your future. You don't need to tiptoe like someone barely holding on. You can rise like someone who knows that heaven's armies march beside you. Here's a fresh activity to anchor this truth. Tonight, before you sleep, take a piece of paper and write down 3 things that once threatened to destroy you, but didn't. Hold that paper up and declare, "I am still here because of God's protection."
then tear it into pieces as a prophetic act, showing that the weapons that formed have already been destroyed. This isn't just symbolism, it's a way to awaken your spirit to the abundance of life you already carry. A reminder that what was meant to crush you only pushed you closer to destiny. Beloved, this is not about arrogance, it's about alignment. Walking in abundance and protection means you carry a quiet confidence that does not need validation from the world. It is the kind of confidence Daniel carried when he was thrown into the lion's den. The lions were real, the threat was real, but the presence of God was greater. That night in the den became Daniel's spiritual awakening, a revelation that protection isn't the absence of danger, but the presence of God's power. In the same way, you are being awakened today to see that even in the dens of your life, heaven is surrounding you. And here's the beauty. Abundance is contagious. When you step into it, those around you begin to feel it. Joseph's abundance in Egypt didn't just feed his own family, it saved nations. Your abundance will do the same. The peace you carry will comfort others. The joy you radiate will heal broken hearts. The wisdom you speak will unlock someone else's courage. That is what it means to live in dominion. You become a vessel of abundance, not because of who you are, but because of who He is within you. This is the invitation heaven is extending, to walk not in fear, but in fullness, to step out of scarcity and into overflow, to realize that you are not only covered, but carried, not only blessed, but backed, not only surviving, but thriving. This is your spiritual awakening, beloved. This is the day when you decide whether you will leave here heavy with fear or light with faith. If this word is stirring something deep in your heart, write in the comments, "I walk in abundance and protection." That declaration is more than words. It is a signal to heaven that you are ready for what has already been written with your name on it. Like this message if you believe today is your turning point. Share it with someone who needs to be reminded that God is not only a provider, but also a protector. And subscribe to Spiritual Journals so we can continue walking this prophetic journey together. I bless you now with eyes to see abundance where you once saw lack, ears to hear heaven's whisper of protection when fear tries to shout, and courage to rise into your divine potential. May this be the day you look back on as the moment of your spiritual awakening, the day heaven reminded you that you are shielded, you are chosen, and you are walking in abundance that will never run dry.
Beloved, what we have shared together today is more than words. It is a divine reminder that your life is marked by heaven. You are not forgotten, you are not overlooked, and the blessings that seem delayed are already being carried into your life. This is Christian inspiration at its core, the truth that God's promises are alive and His protection surrounds you in every step you take. If this message has stirred something inside you, declare it boldly in the comments. I walk in abundance and protection. Let it be a public act of faith, a signal to heaven that you are ready for your turning point. If your spirit feels lighter, if hope has risen again, then like this video as your declaration that worry will no longer have the final say in your life. And if you long to keep receiving prophetic encouragement, subscribe to Spiritual Journals and turn on your notifications so you never miss what heaven is releasing. Together, we are not just building a channel, we are building a movement of faith and light across the nations. From my heart to yours, I want to say thank you. Thank you for showing up, for opening your spirit, for walking with me on this journey of faith. You remind me daily that God's Word is still alive, still healing, still transforming. Now I bless you. May peace flood your heart.
May joy overflow in your home, and may every hidden prayer be answered in God's perfect timing. In Jesus' name, amen.